I believe this is a complete disgrace. And I believe it's actually much more sinister than some people might believe. These are all members of the global elite. They're all members of the global elite. And they scratch each other's backs. And we don't really know. Most ordinary people don't know about it. But these are all members of the global elite. They're trying to run the country and the world.
Right. Yes.
So they don't care about ordinary people. They're taking away our winter fuel payments. They're taking away prescriptions for elderly people.
Not yet. Don't know about that. That's just an idea that's been floated. But yeah.
No, fair enough. That was a think tank, yeah. But, for example, we are taxing working people at the highest level ever seen.
Uh-huh.
If we didn't have this kind of wanton spending, we could lower taxes and we could make a true meritocratic society, not one that is ruled by the global elite. And they don't care about ordinary people.
Well, in not caring about ordinary people, providing security in which ordinary people can have a safe time for an event that has previously in other countries come under some security threat is taking care of ordinary people, isn't it?
Well, that wasn't security for ordinary people, it's security for one person.
But that one person is pretty central to an event for which there was security too. And it behoves any government to take issues of domestic security pretty seriously, no?
Yes, but one person is not domestic security. Yeah, of course, they should provide security for the event, but this is one escort to and from. She's a very rich woman. She could have organised private security, just like Meghan and Harry have had to. Not that I'm a fan of them, but
they're part of the global elite, presumably.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're about as global elite as anybody could imagine.
Who's the peak global elite in your mind, David? If you could pin up a poster in your bedroom of the person who best represents the global elite, who would it be?
That's a very good question. I would probably go for Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton would be the pinnacle of global elite, even if she's not in any position of any sort of democratic power. She's not elected to any office at the moment.
Absolutely, she is. For example, she was organising, basically did the same thing as Trump did with the election undermining, but nobody called it out. The Russia. There may have been some truth to it, but it was nowhere near as bad as some people said it was. That's an example, yes. I believe the Clinton couple, perhaps, is a better way of phrasing it, not Hillary, only Hillary.
This poster would have Bill and Hillary Clinton on it?
Absolutely.
Even though Bill Clinton has been out of office for, decades. I'm
not saying... They are an example of the global elite. They aren't only the global elite.
They're the archetype of the global elite, are they?
Yes, that's the good way of putting
it. They represent the global elite because?
Because they are, they're corrupt.
Corrupt in what sense?
Well, they had, for example, I do not remember his exact name, but one of the Clinton advisors was killed in very suspicious circumstances, supposedly a suicide.
Right, so because of your connection between a man you can't name and their suicide...
Well, do you know who I'm... He supposedly committed suicide on a bridge.
Right. And so what evidence do you have that the Clintons are corrupt, that their corruption played a part in that? David?
Hello?
What evidence do you have that their corruption played a part in that?
The fact that Well, as I've already said, there's not necessarily evidence available, but that's one example.
But so it's an example of what? It's an example of nothing.
No, and it's an example of a global cabal that run the world who don't really care about ordinary people.
And
that's the problem that we have.
And Taylor Swift is in that global cabal.
Oh, without a doubt.
What do you have to do to be in it? Like, what's the sort of peak requirements to be global elite?
Rich and powerful, for one. Usually a member of an establishment.
Mean? How rich do you have to be?
I've potentially removed the powerful is more important. Any kind of power.
Any kind of power.
Well, political power.
Right.
You
have to hold political office.
No, in order to be part of this global elite, you have to want to maintain it. So, for example,
maintain what?
Maintain the global elite. Maintain its dominance.
Yeah, and its dominance being through what? Holding political office, mainly.
Yes, but also through more sinister means.
Right. So, and what part does Taylor Swift have to play in that?
Well, she's part of it.
In what way?
Well, it's just an example of how the government sucks up to members of the global elite. She's a billionaire.
Yes.
She has huge influence.
Mm-hmm.
She's endorsed the candidate Kamala Harris, who is the embodiment of the global elite herself.
Oh, I thought that was a bit. Okay, yep.
She's a puppet leader, just like Joe Biden.
Right.
Not that I don't believe Trump's a particularly good man, but he's not part of at least he's not part of the global elite.
How? He held political office, has huge power and sway.
Yes, but is
incredibly wealthy. But by your own standards of what constitutes global elite, Donald Trump should be on the poster as well, David.
No, absolutely not. Because I said they have to want to maintain the dominance. He did not want to maintain the dominance of the global elite. Therefore, he's not part of it.
But he wants to maintain his dominance by being at the head of the office of the most powerful person on the planet.
Yes, but he wanted to change the system of government so that it focused more on the ordinary person, not on the
they all say that.
issues of the
Boris
global elite.
Johnson says that. Nigel Farage says that. Are they part of the global elite?
Boris Johnson is.
And Nigel Farage isn't, despite being wealthy and powerful.
So. He is wealthy. He's a successful man. I don't believe success means you're part of the global elite, but some people in the global elite are probably quite inept. I mean, for example, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they aren't particularly the most talented people, are they? But the reason they're in office is because they want to perpetuate the global elite.
All right. Well, that took a turn. David, thanks very much indeed for the call.
Evening, David.
Hi there, Ben. Can I just say I completely agree with you about what the last caller was saying about our president, Donald Trump. Completely disgraceful.
Yeah, I think calling for any violence against any politician, particularly murder, which is, let's be honest, what it is. I mean, let's not stoop to the level of people like Vladimir Putin who literally murder politicians they don't like. We're better than that. We've got to be better than that. Even if people like Donald Trump, who I find quite appalling, to be honest with you, violence is never the solution.
You see, well, that's where I disagree with you, because he's the only person standing against the global elites, and we can't afford to lose him.
But David, he's part of it. I mean, Donald Trump defines global elite.
He really doesn't. He's fighting it.
He's a billionaire businessman with an international business across the globe who flies around on a private jet. I mean, how much more global elite can you get than Donald Trump?
No, you've described success to me. Success doesn't mean global elite.
So what does global elite mean?
It means trying to create a structure of slave programming across the world.
Slave programming?
Well, yes, maybe there's a better way of putting it. Essentially that, yes.
So do you think Donald Trump is part of the elite?
No. He's fighting it. Why is he being jailed?
You don't think a multi-billionaire businessman is part of the elite?
Well, he is part of elite, perhaps, but not the liberal global elite that we're talking about.
Right, so he's part of a financial elite, but not a sort of political elite.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Right, okay, I sort of see what you're coming. I'd still say he is the epitome of global elite, but we'll agree to disagree on that. Talk to me about Ukraine.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, the reality is we need to stop funding it now. I believe is the unfortunate truth of the matter. We can't afford to waste any more money on it because there's going to be no solution.
Why is it a waste?
Well, because we've got other things to be spending it on. They're having to cut things for ordinary people.
But if it enables Ukraine to beat Putin, as our guest, former ambassador to Ukraine, was just
to beat Putin.
But David, bear with me. We've just had a former ambassador to Ukraine saying this is absolutely feasible. If we stay in this long enough, if we step up our support, Putin can and will be defeated. Why do you disagree?
Well, he's obviously a very intelligent man, like the person I'm talking about, but he would say that because he's trying to keep the global elite's narrative going, isn't he?
You keep coming back to global elites, and to be honest with you, Dave, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. What's the global elite narrative when it comes to Ukraine?
Well, I do question whether Ukraine is really a war. It's ultimately been started by the military-industrial complex.
It's been started by one bloke called Vladimir Putin just invading other countries, hasn't it? That's what started it.
Well, I believe that the global elite deliberately, how would I describe it, prodded Putin to start the war so that they could then take people's minds off.
So you don't hold Russia culpable for invading Ukraine.
Well,
so that the man that ordered the invasion, the people that carried out the invasion, aren't actually responsible for the invasion, David.
Well, they're partially responsible, but the Westeros, the global elite are responsible for calling it.
We can't. I'm just bored of hearing about global elites, to be honest with you. The responsibility for the war in Ukraine lies with Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Putin alone.
Hello there, Tom. Nice to talk to you again. Well, I believe ultimately we've got to ask the question. The reality is in this country that already ubiquitous methods of limiting our ability to move freely, namely driving. We've got to ask, why does the government want to do that? And more broadly, why does the global elite want to do that? And that is because they want to limit our ability to travel freely. Because as soon as we're able to travel freely, we are able to question the method of government, and we are able to influence first ideas more broadly.
David, are you the bloke who rang yesterday about this global elite business?
Well, I ran Ben Kentish yesterday, but I ran you on Wednesday.
I see. But and to talk about the global elite?
I believe I did mention that, yeah.
Yes. This is a big interest of yours. And you see this change because of the introduction of electric vehicles as part of their plan.
Well, as I say, electric vehicles I'm not hugely against, because I do like Elon Musk. However, I believe it's also links more broadly into the carbon conspiracy. Yes, the climate's changing, but is it really caused by carbon dioxide, or is it an attempt to stymie growth and freedoms?
Right. So the introduction of a different tax to the one that currently exists would be part of a way of stymieing people's freedom of movement.
Well, it is quite literally charging people for every.
But David, there already exists a tax that you would also presumably have to describe as limiting people's movement because they have to pay it in order to move. It's just a different way of doing it.
I accept that, but I believe that the existing tax should exist either.
Right. So what's your point ultimately?
That, well, not only should the paper mile not be introduced, not only should fuel levies be increased, but we should actually remove any restrictions on freedom of travel, apart from a driving licence.
Right, and who's going to pay for the roads that people travel on if there's no money for the exchequer to spend on them?
Well, it's not a matter of not investing in the roads, it's a matter of making savings in other areas.
Okay, so where are you going to find 30 billion plus from?
Huge restructuring of our healthcare system, potentially.
Right.
Reduction of money we're giving to foreign entities.
Foreign entities?
Indeed.
Right. And that covers it?
I would expect so, yes.
Yeah, okay. You don't know, though? You got sort of
obviously,
no or limited clue about any of this?
Well, I would like to think myself quite informed about current affairs.
Right. But you think it could work?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And what I would just like to remind the listeners when they're hearing this is obviously LBC and yourself that are not part of global elites, but you obviously are part of the general system of establishment value.
Right.
Just to reiterate that. But, yes.
I'm very happy we are too. Extremely delighted to be apparently part of the established media in this country. Long may it continue. David, thank you for the call. God.